have microphones?
No, but we have it here.
Oh, I see.
It's gonna be there. Yeah.
Get to
My wife and I watched around this today.
Ah,
We're walking around
okay.
the museum today.
okay.
When I was so this was a wonderful opportunity. Particularly my wife, she has never been to
Yucatán
Mexico.
con lui si chiede chi
It's so nice.
o la lengua yica.
And I would like to thank the organizers of the festival for having me here. I'm very excited to be here. I'm very honored to be part of a festival in Mérida, which is my favorite. The Marlin Seafood Grill for Laura Baron. It's called the Marlin for two reasons. First, I had this stuffed marlin of my father's. He got it when he worked in Mexico after leaving China around 1902, before he came to Canada. But I also wanted to call it the Marlin to honor my father's brother, Uncle Marlin, who was murdered in Calgary in 1900. His death was one of the reasons my father had to leave home in China. Marlin was murdered in the spring of 1900 by a young boy, the son of the woman he worked for in Calgary. He was only 19 years old, and my father that year was just 16. An old Chinese proverb says, "If one who attains honor and wealth never returns to his original place, he is like a finely dressed person walking in the dark." Ma Lin had been buried in Calgary, but the family wanted his remains, his bones, to bury him next to his ancestors. At that time, there were companies in North America that were involved in the business of returning bodies, but our family couldn't afford to. So they decided to send my father to Canada to get his brother Ma Lin's bones. My father had to work his way across, and the first work he got was on a boat going halfway around the world to the Caribbean. But he also liked to gamble too much, and he ended up cooking in a restaurant in Mérida in the Yucatán for a couple of years before he earned enough to get passage to Canada. He made it to Canada in 1904, but the head tax was so high he ended up without money and had to find work. At first he cooked on the boats around Vancouver, but he also liked to bet on the horses, so his gambling habits kept getting in the way of recovering Ma Lin's bones from the graveyard in Calgary. He got involved in a bunch of different Chinese cafes in Western Canada, and after he married a white woman, my mother, a cashier in one of his cafes, he never did finish the job he was sent to Canada to do. That was left to me, and it wasn't until 1951, a few years after they changed the Chinese Exclusion Act in 1947, that I was able to get Ma Lin's bones and take them back to China. I met a few people still living from his family, but they were still so poor I gave the bones to the Quan Family Association, which was happy to bury them in the family graveyard near Canton. But when anyone comes into the Marlin Seafood Grill here in Banff, they think that big fish on the wall is the real name of this restaurant. But for me and our family, it's the Ma Lin. We thought of calling it Chinaman's Peak after that mountain in Canmore, but people here are still a little prejudiced, so we thought it wouldn't be such good luck for business. Besides, seafood in Banff in the mountains is a real treat, a specialty. You got to do things that are good luck, even if you're not a gambler. Like that umbrella up there on the wall, that's good luck too. My half-cousin in Mérida sent that to me. It was her wedding umbrella. She married a Japanese guy, and in Japan it's good luck to be married under an umbrella. It's from Japan, but the white people here just think we're all the same. Once in a while, on Fridays, we serve Marlin à la Marlin. It's really swordfish, but even that's getting hard to find this far north.